Hello there. I'm just gonna get thoughts out today because I am about to head into a big drawing phase. So I wanted to get some final thoughts out before I do so. This will probably be the last video for a little bit um, while I focus on that. Today we're going to be looking at a bit of pixel art. Got some Pokemon lined up, some work that I've done, and basically how to read. This is for people who want to draw but don't know where to start at all. Like, complete, I don't know what to do. Help. And I'm just gonna show you what I did. I think that'll be the most interesting thing to talk about. Let me hide my little avatar here. I'm gonna flick over here. Bang! Recognizable? Amazing. So what are you looking at here? This is Piskel. Piskel is a free website that you can use. Now, first and foremost, why are we looking at pixel art if we want to learn to draw, right? Well, I think a common experience is when you pick up a pencil and try to start drawing, perhaps your favorite character from your show, an anime or whatever. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I could make this shonen pro tag look cool. Then you do it, and then you look at what you've done, and it's like a goofy stick figure, and you're like, wow, that is not anything like what came to my head, right? Like, why does it not look like that? And I think it's very easy to see that disparity and get a bit discouraged from trying again, because it's like, well, that sucked. Well, I'm just not gonna do it anymore, right? But I'm really quite fond of pixel art because you can get something that looks quite nice very quickly, as long as you know what to look out for, right? In doing so, you can also learn the tools for drawing without even knowing it, right? You're intaking everything, and you'll have a nice picture at the end. I think that was the crux of why I didn't enjoy drawing on pencil paper originally was, well, you put in so much effort, and then at the end, I still don't have anything that I like at all. Like, a whole year of doodling or whatever, and it just doesn't come out looking anything like what you see. And we're surrounded by lots of amazing art, and you're just like, why is this not? It's just not happening, and you start thinking, I'll never get there. I don't know what I'm doing, and then you just stop, right? Like, I think it's quite a common experience. This is why I like pixel art. It lets you skip all of that and learn a lot while you're doing it, and it's fun, right? So, we're looking at Pokemon. Why Pokemon? I like Pokemon. That's it. I think you can do this with anything. Pick your favorite game that has sprites, and we can do a breakdown of it. Whatever it is, it has to be something that you enjoy, and you're not gonna mind looking a bit closer at, because it's helpful. There's a lot of Pokemon, so there's a lot to pick from. There's a lot to learn. There's generations worth of details and learning that you can pick up along the way. You know, and it's just fun. It's just fun. Like, there's no wonder that the sprites are loaded for um, being really nice. You know, we're looking at Gen 5 today. I think that was peak sprite design. Right? So what are we looking at? Let's acknowledge the thing in front of us. What is it? Well, I think immediately it's recognizable, right? Let's lock that away. Like, why do we know what this is straight away? Like, that's already a question to ask yourself. Like, okay, we'll put that away for now. Come back to that, right? But let's call it what it is. Like, it's Pikachu, right? It's quite straightforward and simple. Okay, what do we do with it? Well, I remember when I first started looking at sprites, I was too nervous to make any edits, right? Like, I don't even know the environment. So let's tone it back. Let's pull it back. Like, let's try to understand what we're looking at in Piscal here, I think this is quite a handy thing to do. Understanding your working environment transfers into any program that you use. Being familiar with the tools that you're working with, you'll start noticing patterns. I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna slow down so I don't get too far ahead of myself here. So let's just ignore all of this. There's so much. There's so much to look at. Right? What's this? What's this box? What are all these? Ignore it. The only thing that matters is this: pen tool, paint bucket tool, eraser tool. That'll get you started. That's all you need for now, right? We can worry about everything else as we go. Okay. Let's try and make some marks. Oh, okay. That's what that does. Oh, okay. What is... Okay. We'll just have a play around with the tools. It doesn't matter what we're doing. We can leave the marks there. Okay. Let's just get rid of them. Right? Because it's going to distract us. So let's go back to little Pikachu. Now we understand what these tools do. Now we can look at Pikachu. Like, what are we looking at? Oh, I see some yellow blobs. That's it. Huh? What do I do with that? What am I trying to do? What am I trying to do with it? Well, let's use our pen tool. Got some shortcuts here. P. Okay, let's click that one. Oh, that one. B. Oh, it switches it. See, that is how you instinctively pick up elements of the working environment that you're doing without you even noticing it's happening. But compared to when we first started, we didn't know that, right? Okay, so now we know what the pen tool does. What can we do with it? We can draw... Oh, I've accidentally drawn on the face. What do I do with that? I've made a cross. Uh-oh. At this point, you have already edited the sprite. Congratulations. You've drawn on it, right? You've made your first mark. Albeit it's not something that you'd want to look at, probably, I don't know. But you've done it. And that's what matters, right? You've gotten over that initial hurdle of, uh-oh, what if I get it wrong? It doesn't matter. You can always change it. You can always learn from it, right? Get used to making marks. That's the first step. Getting used to your tools. Just practice. Just try it out, right? What sort of things can you do? I think at first, you might not even do these big lines. You're just like, some tentative click, click, right? You're not doing anything, but okay, let's take it a bit further, right? Let's take it a bit further. Let's paint by colors style, fill in this black ear, right? The tips. Okay, interesting. Now we step back and look. Well, what did we just do? You know, we colored in the ears. Wait a minute. How did we do that? Why does it look different all of a sudden, right? So, what your goal is to make observations like that. You play around with whatever tool that you're using and noticing things along the way that happen based on your actions. The ears look different now. If I quickly undo that last one, right, I'll zoom in. You can see it's different all of a sudden. Like, why is that? Well, it looks like we changed the color. We darkened the ears. Wait, was the other ear also lighter? So let's undo that. Let's have a look. Oh my gosh, wait, I've just noticed the tops of the ears are a different color. Hey, what's going on there? This is how you build up incremental learning and observations. This is fundamental to art, right? Get used to making observations because that's half the battle. If you don't know what you're looking at, you can't analyze and understand and unpack it, right? Notice the small details along the way. and then we can apply that logic elsewhere, right? So let's take it a step further. We've noticed the edge of the ear, of this black ear, maybe it's grey. Okay, this darker grey is different color. Where else is it different, right? We have to look around the rest of the Pikachu. Let's break it down. Where does it also look lighter, right? Let's look at the tail. Wait a minute, this color, this yellowish color, and this one is different. What's going on there? I don't know yet, right? But that's now developing a question that you can work out later. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like it's different. You just notice that it's different, but you can find out along the way, right? And what you're doing there is building up the curiosity, right? You have to be interested in what you're looking at. You want to know more about what you're looking at. And being interested enough in the Pikachu to keep asking more and more questions, right? That's what we're doing, okay? So we'll just take this detail down for now, okay? It's the edges seem to look like a different color. That's all we need to learn for now. Okay, let's not get too far ahead. All right. I think it's also easy to get overwhelmed by what you're doing, right? And going at a pace that makes sense is key to being sustainable, right? And we're going to look at a lot of different sprites. Okay, and I'm going to show you how you can build up these sort of observations over time. This is before we've even done any like big changes, right? Like we've just looked at it, but we've already learnt a lot. And okay, now when we look at a different sprite, we can then look for patterns, right? Like the ear being lighter, like the edges around the tail being lighter. But like we can look out for that sort of thing when we move on to the next sprite. So you know what? Let's change it up. Let's do exactly that, right? I'm using Gen 1 today, by the way, because I think they're quite recognizable. I think even if you're not a Pokemon fan, you can understand what's happening. So, okay, who's this? This is Gengar, big goose boy. Right? So, immediately, what are we looking at? Same pattern. Big purple blob. Interesting. That's the same as big yellow blob. Huh. Wait, hold on. This big purple blob has two different colors. That's weird. Is the Pikachu like that? Wait, it is. Hold on. It's a bit lighter. You can't really see the difference. But that's interesting. That's interesting. Let's go back to Gengar. Okay, so Gengar looks a bit darker than the Pikachu. Wait. Then does that mean Pikachu and Gengar share some similar logic, right? Let's look at the edges. We remember the tail and the ears being a different color. It was lighter. Let's take a closer look. Hold on. It looks like we have two colors here. We have two colors. It's the same pattern. It's a lighter tone. This one's darker. It's not the same color as the Pikachu, right? That's yellow. Interesting. But it's lighter than this tone, which is the same as the yellow tone on the Pikachu. Now that's the sort of observations you want to be looking for along the way, right? That's quite... maybe, I don't know how simple of a observation something like that is, but that's the type of thing you want to be looking out for, right, as you go along. This is before you've even thought about making any big changes. You know, you're just making notes, making mental notes of what you're looking at. What sort of things are you looking out for as you look through the sprites? You know, like we don't need to get complicated. You know, we can make some basic observations, right? So, I had a thought, like, what Pokemon sounds simple, right? Well, I think back to when I was a kid and I played, and it's like, okay, what was one of the early Pokemon that you would catch in Viridian Forest? Well, there was a Caterpie, right? Type that in. Let's pull up the Caterpie sprite. Looks simple enough, right? But actually, there's so many colors going on here. Like these greens and everything. It's such a small body. It's kind of hard to see the differences. It's hard to see the different shades of color, right? It's deceptive. You'd think it'd be simple, right? But you to make those sort of observations, you're gonna have to get really close. It might not be as helpful to look at as a bigger body, like a Gengar, right? It's very clear. It's very clear. It's big round and has a simple design. It's got some spikes on its head. It's got a big grin. You know, these things matter when you're starting out, right? You want to stick to simple shapes and things which don't have lots going on, so you can make it easier to pick apart make it easier on yourself to see what's going on, right? Tiny body like Caterpie. I'm gonna keep flicking back and forth here. You know, you can make a general idea. It's like it's a big red orangey blob on the top, right? But if I zoom all the way in, you'll notice that there's like 3 colors. Like, what is even going on here? It's too much. It's too much detail. Find something big. Find something comparable, right? That's key. I think that's key. Phew, that was a lot. Let's decompress. All right, you want to build up. You want to build up slowly. Not at this Mac pace that I seem to be finding myself going at. Okay, but we're taking in all the different ideas of what we're looking for, right? Okay, so what can we do from here? Well, let's have a look at one of my favorite Pokemon. I'm gonna pull up a Vulpix, right? At this point, we have a general idea of the sorts of things we're looking for. What we can start doing is doing some comparisons. I'm gesticulating with my hands as if you can see. This is the Gen 5 sprite for Vulpix. Very cute, huh? You got a big red blob here. Same again, same pattern. You'll notice it's the same pattern. We'll zoom into the ears and the hair or whatever. You know, it's lighter on top. That's all we need to know for now. We can work out what that is or what that means like way down the line. It doesn't matter. It's a different color, right? That's all we need to know. That's what we need to do. Something cool that you can do with Pokemon sprites specifically is we have generations worth. We have so many different generations. I've lined them all up here so we can have a look as a blast through time, right? Like we have to think about what a pixel sprite was in context, right? Like they needed to be small and compact to fit on the little game cartridges. So artists have to be quite specific about what they were doing, right? So what can we learn about that? Well, we know they had limited color palettes because of that. You know, they had to minimize the amount of size that it took up. I digress. Generation 4. Nice butt shot here, right? Okay, so how do we compare these two sprites? Well, we're gonna have to flick back and forth. Wait, this seems really annoying. I can't see what's going on. Now, one thing we can allude to here is over here on Piscal. It's called layer opacity. I'm going to introduce you to transparency. If I flick this one to 1, that was the previous sprite. This is our Gen 5 sprite. Now we can introduce another tool. Well, you see they're overlapping here, right? Well, let's move one of them. Coming down to the move tool. Right, now we can see both of them. They're not on the same layer. We don't have to worry about that. We're looking at the big shapes. We're looking for patterns in the two sprites. Right, I'm gonna, oh, yeah, stay here. So we know it's a Pokemon, so it has to look the same, right? This is where we start looking for patterns. What makes it recognizable? Both of them seem to have these three tufts, these two ears, big eyes, little dog-like body. It's a fox. It's a fox. Just call it a dog. We got little paws. And, okay, we have a bunch of tails. Maybe we should count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pattern recognition. We've now noticed that it's consistent between the two different designs. We can attribute that to this little Pokemon now, right? What makes it recognizable? Well, the 6 tails, we got the 3 little tufts, is, right? We lock that away in our memory. It's like, oh, that's a Vulpix, right? That's how we recognize a Vulpix. Okay, so let's hide this layer again. And we'll take it another step back. We'll keep going backwards in time. This is Gen 3. The colors are a bit different, right? But hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tails, 3 tufts, 2 ears, little it's a dog body. Unbelievable. It's a fox, right? It's the same pattern. That's how you know immediately it's Vulpix. The same logic applies to Pokemon. Now, I'm not going to answer the question, right? But now that's a question to go back and ask, like, how do we recognize things? Why do we know that that's what it is? I feel like I've also partially answered that, but maybe there's more to it. Let's take it a step back. This is Gen 2. Number of tails, tufts, ears, body. Still recognizable. But we've also noticed the pixels look different, and there's a big white box around the back. Why is that? Why is that? It looks different for some reason. The others don't seem to have that going on. Why is that? Huh, I've also noticed something. It's also kind of spotty. What's going on here? The other ones didn't seem to have that. This one, the Generation 3 one, doesn't have it at all. This one does. This one seems to have a lot. What about the first generation? It doesn't seem to have it. But it's now lost all colour. Wait, I see the tails. I see the tufts. See the general shape. The eyes look a bit different. So this is what you're doing. This is the type of exercise that trains your eye, right? Being into drawing means you want to be doing this a lot, and growing on asking the questions with your eyes, finding out the answer, and then learning even more with your eyes once you've got the answers. It's a cycle, and it's very learnable, right? I might have been going very fast, and you might not see what the heck I've been talking about just quite yet. But then those are things you can test out, right? It's very repeatable. It's just pick whatever you're interested in and keep asking the questions. Because so much of drawing isn't actually to do with the creating thing itself. It's being able to ask yourself, what are you interested in? What do you want to find out more about? And why is it that it looks that way? I think if you aren't interested in that, I think you're just not going to have a good time, to be honest. If you just want to create a pretty picture, you know, it's going to be quite hard, because you're not going to know what to look for or really cared to look into it, to ask the questions that I needed to get to the result that you're looking for, right? Like, to me, I think drawing is more observation. It's not just observation of what you're looking at, it's observation of the world around you, it's observation of yourself, it's an observation of the processes that you go through and being able to think about them and then act on them and readjust. And then using the new information, you keep building up, right? And you can build momentum. You know, you see something and you try it for yourself, right? You see, okay, I see this. What happens if I extend the foot out a bit? It's going to look a bit silly. It doesn't really matter, but what matters is, what did I just learn? You know, it's like, oh, it looks a bit silly when when you draw feet onto it a bit longer. Okay, like this is where the drawing aspect comes into it. Is now you've tested an observation. It's more science theory, come to think of it. Anyway, you make the observation, you test the hypothesis, and then you lock away the information and retain it for the future. Because next time you try and draw on a different sprite, you know exactly, hold on, if I can extend the feet if I want to make it look a bit goofier. You know, we can do this across every single generation. Let's grab this color. I've just switched to the eyedropper tool. This is color picker in Piscal. This one allows you to switch this black tone to whatever you click on next. See, it's now swapped over here. Right? We can make it goofy. This is consistent. Now we know that is a consistent thing across the board. That is something we can do. Is we can change the size of the feet by increasing the amount of blobs. You know, and we learned that by doodling on this black and white picture of a thing, and it's now transcended across generations. These are consistent lessons that you can learn, but you can only do that if you're interested in exploring those sort of observations, you know, and then you can test it. You can keep going. You can do whatever. Oh, I've clicked the wrong one. You know, it doesn't have to be the feet. We can start doodling mustaches and things. You can do whatever you want. That's what drawing is. It's easy. Anyone can do that, right? Whether it's good or not, it's kind of irrelevant, you know. It's what you're learning that's what matters. It'll get good over time. You do it enough times, right? You'll start seeing like what works and what doesn't work, you know. It's like, oh, okay, I tried to give it a tongue there. It kind of looks a bit ugly, but we can work out why and change course once we've learned that lesson and know what we're looking for. Now we know. Next time, let's not make the feet really big. Or if I want to make the feet really big, maybe you don't go with this weird angle or whatever, right? You build it up. You build it up over time. It's very learnable. It's very learnable. You just have to be curious, to be honest. I think it might not be suited for everyone. If you prefer other ways of interacting with the world, I think you might enjoy different skills more. You know, maybe you like listening to instruments or whatever. Maybe you should try some music, writing. Art, we see art a lot, so I think it jumps out because you see the really pretty pictures often, especially on social media when you're scrolling, right? I think it paints an illusion that you can just kind of do it. Everyone can just do it overnight, but what you don't see is that to get to that image, that artist probably spent thousands of hours practicing and making so many pictures before that point, making weird adjustments to the faith of a Vulpix before they could start drawing that way. That's what you don't see. it's not because they hide it, it's because they internalize the lessons like we've done here, and they just have so many more. It's all learnable, and it's not some like aether god or whatever creature, some sublime being that just like manifested talent. It's hard work and dedication, and they've just done it for longer. Like that's all. You know, if you don't want to look at a pixel sprite and understand like little observations, and I think you're just gonna get bored along the way, because most of that isn't even drawing. it's not it's not what you think, right? Maybe your goal isn't that. Maybe your goal is just to make a picture, a pretty picture. I think you can do that. I think it's. I think you can look at something and try to like copy it as best as you can. But I don't know. To me, I think when I first started drawing on pen and paper, and I was doing something along those lines, I was looking at anime, I think at the time, and I was trying to draw anatomy, and that drawing people is very hard. By the way, very, very, very hard. There's so many layers to it, right? And and in particular, humans have tricky points. If you've ever tried, you'll know immediately. Like the hands, the face, you start having issues with like balancing where the eyes go, or like the feet look weird. It's so hard. It's so hard, you know. And if you want to get started, like so many people, I think jumping in there, you might pick up a lot, but I think it'll expedite this feeling of discouragement. I think it's very easy to feel like you're not getting anywhere because of the sheer amount of stuff in between that is missing, essentially, from being able to draw a nice looking person. Now, I'm not saying don't try. I think try to like learn where you're at, but it's important to not lose sight of it's a difficult thing to do, right? And you have to be kind to yourself to do so. And you have to celebrate the wins and the learning along the way. Is just like, okay, I've learned a little more about the tools. You know, next time I sit down and try and draw, it's gonna be a bit easier. You know, and it keeps compounding. And I think you have to keep on top of that, and like almost like rewarding yourself along the way, and and celebrate every time you make a substantial leap, right? Not even like every time you learn something, it's like that was cool, you know, you didn't know that before, and you just keep going. But I think the second you start pushing too far ahead of what your next goal is, right? Like you want to push yourself just a little bit every time. But if you push too far ahead, you're gonna feel like this is impossible. This is too much. It's too hard. I'm gonna give up. I'm gonna quit. Right? Like, to make a point of this, right? I'm gonna show you a sprite, but keep this in mind. This is a sprite I made between it was like 8-9 months after I started. Maybe I don't know. I don't know the exact time. This is after doing hundreds of sprites, hundreds, basically every day, right? It's a lot, right? It's a lot to look at, but it's all manageable. You know, you can make something like this as long as you build up to it, you know. And I could sit here and break down every individual part, right? But there's consistency, right, that we've learned already. Let's zoom in all the way. It's lighter up here. It's slightly darker around the edge here, right? The same logic applies. And to make something absolutely ridiculous and just completely out there, like this, what is it, a Waylord Red Ice, right? It's it's built up on all of those little lessons, right? Like I've internalized a lot of the lessons, and I could tell you exactly how I learned all the individual things going on in this piece, right? But it's the build up of all the little observations and hypothesis that gets you to this point, and it's very simple to do once you understand the logic behind it. But you have to be curious enough to want to find out what that logic is, right? To make another, I'm gonna click into the next one. Just a heads up, you know. The next one is a Galissapod mixed with red rice again, I think. I want to show you some consistency. So this is also Cookitis from Overlord, some anime. Gosh, I'm a weep. Frick. Anyway, so the logic stands again. Let's zoom in. You know, it's a lot simpler than the Waylord, but it's lighter on top, a bit darker on the edges again, right? You got big chunks of color. It's the same logic, and we've just broken it down. We've broken it down into small, manageable steps along the way. You know, now we know if we wanted to edit this sprite. Click here. What if we wanted to make his feet big and goofy? Wait a minute. We've learned how to do that, right? This is how you apply the logic in incremental steps. Each individual thing is not difficult, right? Like we did that on so many different role picks earlier. You just gotta keep trying different things, and then you start layering, layer on layer on layer on layer on layer, right? Maybe you get curious, like what's going on here? What are these effects? Where did they come from? How do I draw these eyes? Pixel art is simple because there's patterns. You know, whether it's made from someone who is experienced or whether it's made from someone who's completely new, pixel art is gonna look like pixel art, right? The skill difference between someone who's new versus someone who is like learned like is much more manageable. It makes it feel much more attainable than when you're looking at someone who's drawing digitally compared to someone who's been drawing digitally for like 20 years, right? Like the visual difference is much smaller for pixel art. You know, you can break it down into to rules in a much easier way, right? That's I think the thing I want to tangent off into is it's all applicable, right? If you want to move from pixel art to digital art, it's all the same logic, right? I'm going to show you back to the Waylord sprite. The logic stands, right? When I was creating this piece, I started thinking about composition and focal point. These words don't mean anything to you as a beginner. It doesn't matter, right? So now you've just come across a term that you don't understand, right? So you might get curious enough to go find out, and then start learning more about it, and then you'll make a piece that focuses on that, right? But here I can tell you that to do that, I wanted to look at light, you know, and I got curious about light, so I started investigating that. It wasn't perfect at the time, I didn't understand it, but I knew if I made it a bit brighter around the edges, I could indicate a bit of glow, you know. That's simple logic, right? You drawing something like this from the get-go, impossible. It's ridiculous. it's I couldn't do this now. I don't think. You know, like I was in flow while making sprites, while doing this one. But the logic stands. The individual logic holds up, and you can build it up, right? And then once you learn enough of these things, you can do whatever you want, right? Next one I'm going to show you is one based on a TCG card. I flipped into a base for this one while I was trying to learn how to make a base. It was not good. This one's Zapdos mixed with a Combusken, right? And I got curious. I was like, can I make it look like something else completely? This pose, the way it's standing, it reminded me a lot of a Chocobo from Final Fantasy. So I wondered, is it possible to change that? The answer is yes, quite easily. Watch this. Boom. Very little changes needed. Very little changes needed. You see the beak changing and the clothes adjusting. Editing pixel art is easy. You can get fast results and you can try things at very rapid speed. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. That's why I like it, you know. You learn a lot very quickly as long as you stay curious. You start learning what each individual pixel is there for, why it's what color it is, you know. But you gotta stay curious, and then you can start applying that logic upwards, you know, into whatever you want. Because everything that I learned from pixel art, I still use when I draw digitally now. Absolutely everything, and it all stemmed from this because this forms my curiosity for learning all the individual components that make up art. So whatever gets you interested in learning more, I think, is what is important. You know, it doesn't have to be this. This is just what I did, you know, because this is the stuff that I like. But it's not going to be the same for everyone, you know. Like, just pick something. It could be like Spyro. I don't know, any mascot. I don't know why I picked that one. I don't know what else uses pixel art nowadays. Mega Man, maybe. Is that still around? Castlevania. Pick whatever. There's lots to learn from all the different styles. You know, just get curious. You'll start seeing patterns, and I think that'll get you started. And then I think you do it enough. You just, if you start getting bored of making pixel art, then just get a bigger canvas and start drawing. You know, I think I like this medium because it's very accessible. You can do it with a mouse. This is, you know, you don't need a tablet or anything like that to make marks. It's free, and there's programs which are cheap, you know, like a sprite or whatever. If you want to check out animation, it's all doable, and it'll teach you to think like an artist, even if you don't know how to draw. I think this is why it's such a popular medium for game devs, especially because you don't even need to use a canvas this big, right? You can just, over here there's another tool. If you want to edit it, you see this pop has just come up. I don't know, it would be something like 16 by 16 or something, you know. It's very small. It's a very small canvas, you know. Changing that big Pikachu is one thing, you know. It's like painting a little stick figure here is totally different, you know. You don't need a lot to get something recognizable in pixel art, and I think that's key. Is you can get something that looks quite nice even as someone who doesn't draw at all, and that will give you the encouragement to keep going and stay curious, to learn more. And yeah, but the thing is, the things I've talked about in this video still apply, if not more, with where I'm at. And I don't think it would be possible without the assistance, I suppose, of a medium like this, right? I think I felt very encouraged, so I kept going. It was fun, so I kept doing it. I think if you take away any of those elements, where if you don't care or you're not enjoying it, you're not going to do it, right? To draw, it means to to get so invested into it that it is more interesting than anything else that you're doing. You know, not to say that you can't take part in anything else, but I'm saying it's like if you'd rather be doing something else than thinking about or engaging with art, I think it's going to be much harder to stay motivated, right? You hear a lot of people say stuff like, "Oh, I want to wait. I'm not feeling it today, or whatever." Like, if it's just part of your routine, if it's just something that you do anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how tired you are or how little you want to do it. You're just gonna do it because you're so used to doing it, right? That's what, because it's a hard thing to do. There's a lot to learn. It takes so long, and it can make you feel terrible about yourself. Like you have to be so invested that none of those things matter. That you keep going. So this is why pixel art's amazing. This is why you should draw. If you like it, then it's very achievable. You know, I get very frustrated at the idea that someone feels they can't do it. You know, they get told they can't do it, or feel like they don't want to even try. It's frustrating. You know, they look at their favorite artists and feel like they have to put them on a pedestal or something. I think it also kind of not invalidates. It's just kind of like that person worked hard, you know, and to just treat them like there's some entity, like they were just born with talent or whatever, I think is being disingenuous. I think it's not acknowledging the struggles that they went through to get to where they are. You can do it too. Anyone can do it if they want to. You know, saying I want to draw is not the same as I want to make a pretty picture. I think focusing so much on the end result is exactly how the world is ending up in the way that it is, and that's very frustrating for me. It's very frustrating because it's pushing the wrong process. It's pushing the wrong mentality when it comes to learning how to create. Because I don't know how people will continue engaging with learning if they feel like they have to take a shortcut to get there. You know, it's not about the end picture. It's about what you learn along the way. It's about everything that you pick up about yourself, about what you're doing, about mastering the craft. That's what it's about. Not who cares about the picture. You know, it's if you just want to show off to your friends or whatever, like you do you. but I don't think you're gonna have fun drawing. You're not gonna stick it out. At least, these are my thoughts. These are my thoughts currently. I do want to leave it on a more encouraging note. You know, I think if conversely, I think it's like if you feel invigorated, empowered, like the best time to start is like right now. Like watching this video, you've done it. You've probably learned stuff. Maybe if you've never tried pixel art, like maybe you want to try tinkering around with it now. You know, like if you do, come show me somewhere. You know, tag me in whatever post. I think it'd be cool. Like I've shown you, it's very simple. I've not drawn anything. I've not drawn anything at all. Like realistically, but that's part of the fun of it. Is finding out what can you get away with. What can you do? You know, you don't need me to tell you or show you how to do it. Like get out there. Like it's free. It's tinker around. You know, see what you can get away with. See what you can learn. That's the fun of it. And who knows? Give it a few years, then you get good. Easy. Drawing's easy. Is it? Doesn't feel easy. Doesn't feel easy, but I think with my latest revelations, everything feels easy all of a sudden. Everything up to this point has felt like an uphill grind. I think after this point, everything feels a lot more easy. It's just practice and doing it more. So, what's practice? Drawing more. What did I want to do? I wanted to draw. You know, it's easy at that point. Just got to do it. So, I'm gonna go draw. I guess that's where I'm at. You want to draw too? Good luck.